So my favorite bit was the butterfly in this design. So what we're going to do now is start with the wing. So you need about a 20 centimeter piece and create an angle of roughly about 3 centimeters from one end. And I'm going to again create a twirl. Now a secret with the twirls is if you pinch the ends quite hard as you twist, this thins out the wire at the end. And allows you to create a beautiful swirl. Normally what I do is there's a straight bit when I create twirls. When you do it this way, it doesn't. And you can then shape the twirl as you like. This is quite a handy little tip that I learned. It works really well if you want to create that sort of thinning out look towards the end of twirl. So you just squeeze quite hard and this is what it looks like. That's it. So the next step after this is to shape the body itself. So I'm adjusting the wing here until I'm happy with it, and then I'm just bending the wire to create the shape of the body. So just take your time with that. Make sure that the wire goes towards the back quite a bit. So next we're bending that wire back on itself, and we are doubling it over. So I'm squishing it down and I'm doubling it over for about 1/2 centimeter or a couple of millimeters at the back, and I'm bringing it back up. And next is a bail making. If you don't have a bail making pair of pliers, you can use a pencil or anything like that. That's thin enough. This is probably about, I don't know, 3 millimeters thick. I'm not too sure of the sizing. There we go. So go around it twice because we need to bring this wire back to the bottom. So I'm going to pull it down, so pointing it downwards, and what I'm going to do next is bring in my round nose pliers to create like a figure of 8 shape. And this is what it looks like at the moment. So next, bring in your pliers. I'm going towards the body with the wire and then back away from it. And because I want the body of the bottom of the butterfly to be a bit more narrow than the rest, I'm pinching this down a bit. And that's what it looks like. So now I'm going to go with the next loop back towards the body, going around it once. And then bring it back up. So bring it across a little bit so that there's a crossing point. And then the next loop is going to go away from the body again. You'll notice that each time I'm doing a loop, the next loop is slightly larger than the last one. So make sure that each time you step down or you put the wire down your round nose pliers a little bit, because it's tapered, it'll give you different sized loops. So once we've done that, we're going to place the body and we're going to decide where we are going to start the wing section. There we go. So just about 1 centimeter or so up from that, I'm putting in a bend into the wire. And this is where we're going to create the wing section. That's it. That's what it looks like at the moment. So we need to trim off the wire. You don't need that much length. Roughly about 2 centimeters or so is enough at the end, or 1.5 centimeters. That's it. And again, we're going to create a swirl in the end, just like we did with all the others. And you can watch me here thinning out the wire as I was telling you just now. And this will create a swell and feed it in. Now, if you're not happy with the actual bend, you can open up and close it again, because that wire at this sort of gauge is quite forgiving still. It's not quite as brittle. You can see, watch me here. I wasn't quite happy with the actual shape, so I'm rebending it just to bring it into position better. And this is what it looks like. 2 butterflies. So the next step is to actually flatten out the wires on the tip of the wings. I think it looks really pretty, but it also makes the whole design a little bit stronger, because obviously flatter wire is, work hardens the wire as well. So just make sure that you are doing the hammering from the back of the pendants or the earrings, because it just makes, there's always a bit of marring when you're hammering, so you want a nice smooth side from the front. That's what it looks like. So you've seen just now I already had some wires attached. That's because I did the wiring before I did the hammering, so I had to redo that. But the way to attach the wings together, they're quite flimsy if they are not wired together. So you want to make sure that these are attached to each other. So for that I'm using a very fine 0.6 millimeter half round wire, which is perfect for me. I prefer this to round wire because it's got more surface area, but it is still quite fine, so therefore has a lot of sort of strength to it, if that makes any sense. So I'm attaching this, I'm winding it around once around both wires, and then once around each wire on the side. Just that's enough to attach it, and then you can flatten it with your pair of pliers. So push the weave together and then flatten it, and that's what it looks like. So we're going to do that for the top and the bottom wing both. And lastly, we're going to be attaching a little bit of detail to the bottom of the butterfly. So for that I've just cut a little bit of chain, 1 link and 3 links, and then I'm using 2 drops of amethyst in this case to add a little bit of detail to the bottom, using a piece of 0.4 millimeter wire. And the way to do a little wrap loop for the bottom is just to feed your 0.4 wire through the bead. We're going to cross the 0.4 over each other like that, and we are going to bring in our round nose pliers and sort of hold the 0.4 on one side of the tail. That's done. What we're going to do next is wind one side around and then the other in the opposing direction, and take the pliers out and replace with the bottom jaw. That is so that we can move across. So we're going to wind around the bottom section of the weave we've just created once and twice, and that will tie everything in place. So that gives you 2 loops at the top to give a little bit more strength when you're attaching it, and it will also do away with the one leg, and we're just going to cut off the leg, and that's it. That's how easy it is to create a little wrap loop for the bottom. So next we're just going to attach all of this to the chain. So if you have squished the bottom down earlier, I'm just using a T-pin here to open up a little bit of a gap. Takes a bit of fiddling, but it's quite easy to do. So these T-pins are really handy for a variety of things. So I'm just pushing until I've got a little bit of a gap, and that's it. And then all I need to do is attach my chain and my jump ring. So for that I'm using quite small jump rings. I've actually made these myself using the 0.6 wire, just because I want them to be quite inconspicuous. So I've made really tiny ones, and then you can attach. You can make these with round wire as well, obviously, so quite easy to do. Just attach them to the bottom of your butterfly and a little bit of detail. You can add as many loops as you want to the bottom of the butterfly, as many little dangles as you want. Just bear in mind, obviously, they will change the way the earring kind of hangs on the hook. So that's the first chain attached, and then I'm going to just attach the little pair. Let's go. That's what it looks like. Super easy to do, and it's quite satisfying to create that. So just close the jump ring. Just make sure there's no gap, because you obviously don't want to lose the gemstone attached, and that's what it looks like. So next we need to attach the earring findings. So just decide on which tip of the wing you want it to go, depending on what it looks like. And that's that. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. Follow for more tutorials, and if you need any help with anything, we have a fantastic little group going which is called Wire Wrap and Jewelry Artists worldwide. We're a great little community and have always fun little challenges going. So join us there, and yeah, why not pop by on any of my social media? I am on